minutes to pop up, but awesome. I think, well, not quite yet. Let me see here. Maybe change the settings. That might help because right now it's just showing friends. Let's go public. How about public? Public's important. There we go. Now, if you want to share that on your Facebook page real quick, then we can be in multiple places and all of anyone can watch and see. And I'm going to turn on the comments here. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton-Sehon. It's been a little bit since I've seen you guys. So excited to be out of Facebook jail. Yay. I'm with Swiftfire True TV, and I'm really super excited because I have Jess on Nicoles George, that's a mouthful, here with us. And I'm going to let her talk a little bit about who she is, and I'm going to go into how we connected. But she's a decoder. She codes and decodes, and she can do like people, organizations, planets, where we are. Yeah, it's been pretty cool working with her, getting to know with her a little bit, and just welcome to the show today. Really excited to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Sharnael. It's great to be on the show with you. It's great to be here sharing with everybody. And I know my work is a little bit unusual, a little bit different. It's all unique. And this work is blending really about 50 plus different modalities, none of which are used in the traditional way.
Yeah.
The nice thing about codes is that I can get into kind of the meat and some of the deeper layers and the true currents of what's going on in something. And I can look at it at any point and place in time.
Yes. So for the record, well, first of all, tell us a little bit about you personally, and then go into how in the world did you even get started with all this? I'd like to know that myself.
You know, this might sound a bit far out there for some people, but maybe not with your group of people. And I am actually a walk-in, so I stepped into this body a little over 2 years ago. I am not the original soul that started in this body, but the soul that started in this body, really a beautiful soul. She is part of my Magi team. And so we are actually on the same working team together. And she ran into some situations where we needed to get her out of this existence and back home, so to say. And so I came and I stepped into this, and she's actually the one that started the work, and I took it over when I came in. So it's kind of interesting to see how it shifted and changed, but it started with a journey. The code work to her unfolded through a journey through love, and that love was a cat that emerged in her life at a very challenging time, and she rescued it from going over a waterfall. And then while she was out doing prayer work on a creek in southern Utah. And from there, she ended up going on the road and being on the road with this cat for about 11 months.
Wow.
And so they traveled, they toured, they did the hikes all over the country. And yeah, this cat just won hearts everywhere. The cat's name was Orly, and means bringer of light. And it was just an amazing journey. And actually in the book, it shares the full journey. I'm kind of trying to do a shorter, abbreviated version of this. And they were just one soul. You know, they have been loves forever and a day. And Orly came in at different points in her life, but this was the time it really came in, and they really came into that full knowing, I guess, of each other, you might say. And after having, Orly was an older cat when she found her. She was closer to about 13 years of age and starving to death and all kinds of things that were very challenging to deal with. So when Orly finally passed, it was very, very hard on Jesse, obviously. As anybody who's dear to their pets, they know that. They know what that feels like, or child, or somebody that they're close to. And it was in her grief and through the reflections of their journey together that she realized that Orly had brought back to her the language of the Magi, which is the codes, what I refer to as the codes, what she referred to as the codes. And she realized that every experience that they had was teaching Jessie how to remember this language, was
Wow.
teaching her how to put these pieces together. And a month after Orly passed, then her mom passed. And so it's been this long journey, and she delved into everything and started realizing, okay, there's all this information and background that she had, but none of it quite fit together the way she kind of thought it should. And so when she started seeing these connections, then the codes just started unfolding. And it's literally, I would say, like a language for us in the Magi. Every letter, every number, just like in numerology, every number has a meaning. Um, every letter, every number, everything has kind of like its own unique print, its own unique vibration to it. And they tell a story. They tell a story. And so I take that information and I put it into the Magi language. And then I take that and retranslate it back out into the language we use in this plane in existence, and reopen it from there. So in this work, Jessie really thought, how can I use this? And she worked with it, and she used it to help her circumstances, because she was in very tough circumstances. Everything had bottomed out in her life at that point. No home, living out of a vehicle, no money, had spent times, with no food, and you name it.
Wow.
I mean, she had been through these amazing experiences. But yeah, the grief really brought it home. It really brought the pieces together. And so through that, she just kept working with it, trying to bring herself back up a little bit. And she did, piece by piece. She kind of brought it around. And eventually she said, I'd love to be able to share this work, but it's not something that could just be consolidated down and like taught to somebody. And so she thought that
Downloaded.
perhaps the best way to do things would be to create a book. And then she could share the wisdom with everybody. She could give people a guide and let them take their own journey through that process. And that's really kind of what the book does in a way. It allows people to take their own journey.
Well, and this, I don't know if you've had another book before this, but this is the first book that I had, the Code Journey. And I haven't finished reading it all, but it's quite packed with the year of 2020, which is interesting. And, hindsight is 2020. And I think there's a lot of people waking up to code, frequency, quantum physics, quantum science, neuroscience, and how that works with manifestation. And everything is in the biofield. And so what is in the biofield comes from what we're thinking about, what we're talking about, what we're feeling, what our DNA signature is. Even our organs have an expression. And you're bringing this whole new layer of, because when I've seen the field, I see code, I see colors, I see numbers, I see letters, words, geometry, things that I don't even understand. And I love how you're bringing in this whole language of code to the surface, and able to basically take the language and bring it into an English version where we can all understand what this code is about. And we use technology like remote biofeedback to read code. We use scalar waves to read. I mean, there's different ways to read it, but you're able to take like words, names, organizations, cities, states, and what you did. Is this for America or is this for the world? Like this specific?
That book is actually for the world. And every year it changes a little bit. This is the 2021 version.
I just bought that yesterday. I'm so excited to get the new one.
And it's actually, there's no right or wrong in how to use it. I've created the last couple of versions on my own, but this is actually the 4th year that it's out. And this is the first year I've made it available on a wholesale level. So if somebody has a favorite bookstore or something that they love to give business to, they can have that bookstore order it up for them. So every year it's a learning process. Every year it's kind of refining a little bit, finding its flow. And I've had a lot of great comments about the flow that it's in now for this year. And it kind of reminds us that we're both simultaneously on our own journey and also on a journey as a collective human race, or as souls sharing this space and time.
Experience, this dimension.
So the book kind of really focuses on that shared journey that we have. And that's important because this is about a 650-page book, in case anybody's wondering. It's not a thin little it's not a thin little piece of pamphlet, but it's broken down, and it's got the year's influences, and then it breaks down the layers within the year, like generations and starseed grouping energy that's present, and those types of things. So it breaks down these other layers within the year. And then I have it broken down in sections by the month. So every month there's influences, and then I also include the influences of like the full moon and the new moon energies. And this year I actually added in on the full moons the breakdowns for northern and southern hemispheres. So they do have some of their own unique energies to them for that. And then I have additional portal energy, which might be meteorite activity that's going on, or the solstice, or an equinox, or something like that, that opens specific portals of energy additional for us to work with. And then I also have angel-inspired energies that are usually a collective of about 5 or 6 days period. And then there's the individual days, and each day has, and each month and each portal and things has steps that I invite people to take. So what's really cool with this book is, even though the information is this kind of base information for everybody, at the same time, everybody finds their own piece within the information. And so wherever they are on the journey, if they haven't really done any spiritual work, I find people that love this book because it's done in this daily guidebook format. And then people who are very advanced, who have been working on their path for decades, I find also love this book because it keeps growing with them. It doesn't stop because you hit a certain point in your growth process. It's a little bit open, it's a little bit fluid. And then this year I brought in questions in addition to the invitation steps for people, so that it's really taking the opening of the mind to another step. So it's unwinding the programming of the third dimension and the heavy energy that we maybe have been born into, or have gotten through watching TV, or spending a lot of time on the computer, or whatever it is. And then it starts to get us rethinking for ourselves. It starts to open up our own processes. And so over time, what I find with people is that they start to, how do I say, they start to find their own meaning within the words that I use. Because we have these patterns that are going over and over again. There'll be certain things like sitting in observation, or we got to watch the rebel energy, or things like that. But that can play out in a lot of different ways for people. And what I find is that people then start seeing how it plays out in their own life. And they start realizing, okay, when I come across this term, I know that usually when that's coming up, that energy pattern is coming up, that certain things need to be accounted for, certain things need to be paid attention to, or like I have certain patterns that are, when the unexpected energy patterns come up, I pretty much have to throw all plans out my window that day because I know that I'm going to get hit with people needing a lot of attention or needing things from me that, I couldn't have planned for or prepared for. So it kind of provides that foresight, which I think is so valuable to have.
Well, and I want to share a little bit about my testimony as well, which I shared with you yesterday. But for the sake of the people who are on here, can you give us, and for time's sake, we just have a few minutes. So I hope that, I want to pack all this in, but where are we as a nation, and where are we with what's going on in the world? Like is according to the code that you're looking at? Because I know you did America, you've done figureheads, like what's going on right now as far as the code goes in our nation and with presidents?
So as far as code goes, last year had a lot to do with restructuring, rebuilding things, laying down new foundations for things, focusing on what can create stability for us in our world. This year, we're dealing with a lot of change. And I like to equate this, and I'm sorry, my nose is itching a bit, but I like to equate this with, when you do a remodel. Sometimes when you get that tear down house, you have to get down, you have to rip the walls out, you have to get down to the foundation. And then, you don't see all the changes right away. But I think this year is going to be that year that we start to see a lot of changes around our world. A lot of the things that have been getting put into place over the last couple of years and that have been getting created, and that the foundations that were put in place last year, we're going to be able to start seeing the shifts and changes and actually making the shifts and changes. Does that mean it's going to be an easy ride and all great, like when you remodel and it's like, oh, look at how beautiful that changes, No, it's not. It's going to come with some bumps along the way. We are in very critical times. We're in a 4 to 5 year period right now, which really is deciding the fate of humanity, to put it bluntly, and to put it right out there, because the choices that we're making, and I think that's the thing, is change doesn't have to be a bad thing, but we're in inevitable change. We're not going to be able to avoid change. So it's an opportunity to kind of explore more options and to not just be repeating the cycles that we've been going through over and over again. We're going to have to get the lessons now. We're going to have to start to come together, because it's not going to be working if we're scattered all around. We're going to have to start setting aside the differences and realize that really we're not so different. We're really striving for the same things in many ways. But it's also going to require personal changes. It's going to require us to look at ourselves and say, is this really the lifestyle that we're wanting or needing? And that's not always an easy process, I think, for people, that change process. If we embrace it, if we make wise choices as a collective, if we honor the shifts and changes and go, yeah, if we're going to have a positive future, we do need to be this collective that's working together. We do need to put ethics and integrity and truth as a forefront. We do need to have freedom, because, matter of fact, just the video I was cutting today, talk about freedom is one of those pieces that is the core to creating. You have to have this space of freedom to create safety, and you have to have a space or a base of safety to really create from, to do anything from, in a sense. So it's going to be interesting. There are going to be adjustments, but it's up to us, really, if we're going to make those adjustments positive or not. It's up to us whether we're going to turn our power over and go, okay, do whatever you want to us as a human race, or whether we're going to come into a more proactive space and not sit on the sidelines and open that door and go, yes, I'm ready for a change. And yes, I will walk away from a company if I need to walk away from a company because they're feeding something that is not going to create a favorable direction for us.
Yeah,
And
so now we're going to speak in code, because I know you mentioned this offline, with all of the censorship. There's certain things. What she's saying is, people might have to make some big choices to not be a part of some things that might be presented to us, and it could, cost us the investment of our jobs or our current situations. And when you talked to me yesterday you were saying it's basically life or death. Like this is life or death. Literally, we're on a tipping point. And I mean, I had called her last night or yesterday afternoon because some significant things that she had projected with my code. She did mine for the year, and I've been watching and seeing, and like there's been like 2 or 3 things that were literally happened and didn't happen, but could have happened. Were thwarted because of the work that she had given me. So I had some, I guess, a heads up on what could happen, and the way it was presented to me, there was things that came out that were happening, and she had it all written out about what to do basically, and I did what she said, and that vanished. It literally miraculously stopped, and in 2 or 3 different things. And so I was just like, I have to let you know, please give me 2 seconds. It was her work in collaboration with my own intuition, my own will and my choices, and also working with Tina Sinclair, who did a natal chart on me. I had both of these done with I had 3 different modalities done within like a week, because I wanted to cross-reference where we are in this year for myself personally, and what my responsibility is and what would be my very best and highest. And I had found her, gosh, I think it was just through the internet or something, through Facebook probably. And, just like, okay, we'll try it, but she did it from September last year to, you do it for a birth cycle, a birth year. So my birthday is in September, and she went in all the way to September this year. So I was able to look back on some of the months before I even got my report and was like, oh my God, that happened. So I am looking forward to the book in the future. But yesterday when I gave you that testimony, I was like, okay, where are we? And it is critical. It's very critical. And this is what a lot of us have been saying is responsibility. We are responsible, but this is our time. That love looks like a lot of things, especially and including boundaries, standing up, doing what's best, creating a safe, secure environment for you, your home, your children, and what have you. And when there's people who are, in the profession and opportunist situation to take something of that away and take those freedoms away, then we do have some hard choices to make. And it may not be a hard choice. Maybe it's an easy choice. But what do you see could happen if there isn't the tipping point towards the positive? What is it that you're seeing?
well, let's start with maybe just America on that piece of things, because with America, we can't think, well, we've got until 2025 or 2024 to make a decision, because America is undergoing huge transformation prior to that. And right now, we're in a very creative phase. We need to, as a country, be getting creative. We've got to get the political games out of the way and come back into how we're going to work together, how we're going to create the change that needs to be changed. And of course, America's birthday is July 4th, and that will enter a new code cycle that is connected to dramatic and drastic transformation or death. So we are literally kind of in this live or die situation in America. And so by the time America hits July 4th in 2022, we will have pretty much sealed our fate in America. And thus, if America's fate is sealed, so is the rest of the world. And that means that either we are going to make the choices and the changes that we need to transition out of what has been so destructive for us as a country, or we are going to be consumed by that destructive energy. And that doesn't mean that all of a sudden everybody's going to die at once, or something like that. But it does mean that we are coming into a period that if we don't want to deal with what's happening, then we will have chosen our direction as a collective human race, as a collective country.
Because no answer is an answer. No response is also an answer. And so when we have those choices and we do nothing, we bench it, sit on the sidelines, then you're basically giving up to let something else take that space of where you're not.
Right.
And, that's a scary thing. And I work a lot with spiritual people, and I know you do too. And a lot of times I'll get this whole, well, we just hope Jesus comes back soon. And, we're really praying. And, what is your response to that? I mean, and I love Jesus. Jesus is great. And he's the highest level of any scalar wave activity that we have tested on the planet. And also, we are sent here to be commissioned. We're commissioners. We co-mission with love and light, and we're sent to occupy. We're here for a reason. And so, you want to speak into that a little bit?
It's funny because I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and they're like, I can't stand these people who are just also love and light, and and they're not looking at what's happening. We can fall into both of these extremes. And right now I'm seeing this a lot in truth communities. I'm seeing this a lot even in spiritual people, that either they've gone to, okay, I give up, it didn't happen in the timing I wanted, the way I wanted to see things, and so I'm just going to give up and concede to elitist structures and how they're going to do things, and that's it, and I'm going to fall into hopelessness and fear. Well, if we do that, we're not going to ever get out of what we've been through or what is set in motion. On the other hand, to think that you're just going to meditate this away is not going to work either. We tried this in Lemurian and Atlantean times, and we said, oh, let's just all come into our little happy pill space of peace, and we'll just sit here and be in peace while everything is destroyed. Well, that created a lot of issues by doing that. And that is why we have a lot of people from Lemuria and Atlantis back on our planet right now, because we have to choose differently than that. So, one keeps us disconnected really from the spirit. The fear keeps us disconnected from the spirit energy and holds us and locks us into the 3D spaces. The other of being so optimistic that we won't even look at what's happening and acknowledge it or try to do anything about it is locking us into danger. So both have their risks, both have their challenges. We've got to somehow come around and say, look, we've got to acknowledge what's happening. We've got to make the changes in our own life. We've got to be willing to stand up for what's right, for what needs to get done, for the integrity, for the actions that will lead us in a more loving direction. And this doesn't matter, you can take the people and set them aside, take the players and set aside. We have to look at that core energy piece. And so standing in either one, if you just sit there and go, oh, something's going to come down and save me, or this person's going to come and take care of everything for our country, or this or that, that's not going to happen. You have to be proactive in the process. It's not up to one person. Yes, I highly agree. It's very, very important to have faith. It's very important to trust God, because that's going to get us through the challenges. That's going to get us through the processes and things. But it doesn't mean that we don't do our part. We have to be personally accountable. You can sit there and say, I trust God all I want. I trust God to do and take care of everything for me. But if you are then taking action that supports this disruption, the destructiveness, the harm, the hurtfulness, you're working counterproductive to the very energy that you claim is going to take care of you. You're defeating that energy from taking care of you, in essence. So we have to take that personal accountability and say, you know what, I'm going to stop shopping in the places that are nourishing and supporting the corruption. I'm going to start doing business with my local people where I know how my food is grown, where I know whether there's pesticides used, where I know the care that's going into it. And we have to stand up for these things, because if we don't stand up for these things, we're not going to have them. It doesn't matter where you stand politically or what your beliefs are. You're not going to have that freedom to believe the way you want to believe. You're not going to have that freedom to grow your own food. You're not going to have that freedom to speak your mind and to disagree with somebody. These are foundational pieces. And I realize that for many people, this can be very overwhelming to look at. There's, just an abundance of information that has come out, particularly in the last year or so, more so. But we have so much happening in our world that we've got to get on board with the changes and set it aside. Again, set aside and, really look at where this energy is being supported and use our voice and use our whatever our skill sets are. Some people are meant to be out there on the protesting lines. I'm meant to disperse information. We all have our pieces where we can contribute, and we can all be personally accountable in our own lives based on the individual choices that are there. So I think that that's kind of where we're at. And I think that we can't just sit back in this complacent stage anymore. We've tried that. We've done that in other times in other cultures and societies, and that doesn't work. We know that. That only gives the corruption more power. That only gives that disruptive, and I like to say distorted energy, because I believe everything is of divine energy. But what happens is when we hit this heavy third dimensional space, that divine energy can become distorted, because people will sometimes forget their own divinity. They'll forget that connection, and they get absorbed and lost in that heavier third dimensional energy. So, that's where the distortions happen in things. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, well, if we just keep our mind on the fifth dimensional energy, we'll be fine. Well, no, because you've got people that are here sharing the space with you that are not operating in that dimensional energy. They don't understand it. They don't get it. They're not on board with it, because they're living in an energy that is afraid of that. And so this is where, whether people have liked Trump or not, for example, he's been such a great asset in many ways, because he can speak the language of the dense existences. He can speak that language. And if you're going to make a change, you have to get that energy to listen. You have to get that energy on board somehow. And you can't do it speaking a language that it doesn't speak. You can't get a message through to an Italian speaking Chinese or Japanese or Filipino or whatever. Okay, you've got to learn how to speak Italian if they don't speak any other languages. Yeah. It's the same kind of concept, just like a child. You've got to get that child to listen if you're going to get them to do something, or to get them on board.
Yeah, and this is for time's sake, I'll just say too, going back to the whole you just wait for someone else to do it. I mean, it's like seeing someone homeless on the side of the road with a sign that says, hey, can I have $20 for food or whatever? And you're just like, I pray to God that someone would bless him. It's like, or you could go over there and give him $20 or give him a job or do something, to support him. And going back to your, taking space and dominion and or occupying versus letting somebody else come in and do that. It's like if you have this plate and you pour syrup, on this side and kind of tilt it, it's going to start running down unless you put something there to block it from getting everything else. We got to occupy all of this. We don't have to, we get to occupy, and with love and light, with love. And I say love, people think love means like, oh, I just love, and you can just beat me up and I can be a doormat. And love is not being a doormat. Love is actually standing up and loving yourself, loving your freedom, loving your choices, loving your opportunities to be creative and to do the things that you are called to do because you have the will and the freedom and the dominion to do that. Not being told this is what you're going to do or else. That is the opposite. That is very conditional. That is less than love. To tell someone you got to do this or we won't give you this if you don't do that, and or censorship or all of that. Those are the opposite of freedom, creativity, expression, peace, love. All of those things. So where can people find you? So I know you got a class tomorrow night at 5, correct? And her book, this is her older book. Hold up your new book.
This is the new one.
The new one's on Amazon. You guys could check it out. Oh, don't get on Amazon. Get on our website. But
go on my website. Yep, compassioncodes.com, and you'll see a tab there that says goods. And on the goods tab is the code journey, and it's got all the links to get you directly to the page, depending on what you want to purchase. If you're looking for the ebook or a paperback book or whatever, or if you're a bookstore and you want to order it for your bookstore, it's all there. Also, you can go on to Smashwords. If you scroll down a little bit on the page, you'll come to the 2020 year. And the previous years on Smashwords, which is the ebook version, are free. Most people really like the paperback because it is so much information and that you need to be able to flip back and forth easily. But it can also give you an idea of some of the content in the book. And that's a good option. Twice a month, usually at the new moon and the full moon, I have study sessions, and it's a very open discussion. People can come in, they can ask the questions that they have, they can share the journeys that they have going on. One of the things that a lot of people share about this book is they're like, I have found love for people that I have never been able to have before. I found a strength in myself to stand up and not let people walk on me that I never had before. I'm finding aspects and connections and relationships between my soul self and my human self that are just amazing. And I'm handling things that I've never been able to handle before in my life. So it's really exciting to have this kind of support there for people in this journey. And I try to make myself as open as possible for people to go in there. I am on all pretty much the main social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter on there. And I do have 2 YouTube channels. One is a regular channel, which has every month I do a video that's just a regular kind of personal development. Where's the code energy at for the month and what we're focusing on and addressing just different things that are coming up for people. And then I also have a channel called Connecting Codes, which is more about the world events, political things that are going on. So that's different. So kind of 2 different channels. I've also opened up to Brighteon and BitChute. So videos are there as a backup. I'm also backed up with Gab, and I just signed up for some places, Safe Chat and Clout Hub. I'm on all of those as well. They're all my backup channels because I have been targeted recently with things getting blocked and having restrictions placed on me and all those fun censorship things. So I do have those backup channels there, and they'll be developing gradually and slowly, I'm sure, but they'll be coming around in time. And I chose those channels because they're probably not going to go down. They don't. I've done the research, and there's no connections to corrupt channels, so they're not likely to be influenced by anybody.
Well, thank you, and thanks, Nancy and Tony, for posting those links here on the comments, so you guys can see. If you look in the comments, you can see how to get our website. I'm also going to get it and post it in our comment section too, so people can connect with her and see how she could be a support. I think she's a great tool. She not only connected, she gave me confidence in talking about some things or encouraging some things that maybe I kind of had a hint that I was supposed to do, but I had not really stepped out and like felt the confidence or courage. Because, when we hear for ourselves, sometimes it's like, that's not real. And then it's like, oh, wait, I'm hearing that from multiple people now. And, it's like, okay, maybe I should do this. But also she supplied some support for health, which I wasn't even thinking I would need or go towards that direction. It was literal. That's a whole different thing. But so I am just really encouraged by how she supported me through some could have been bad things. Could have been really, really, really changed my entire next at least 6 to 7 years, if not more. And the ripple effect of that. It got stopped literally within an overnight situation. I was like, what? That is just gone. It's totally gone. So I'm just really thankful for your work. I'm thankful for what you're doing. I don't understand everything you do. I'm not going to pretend to get everything. And it doesn't matter. To me, your heart, your purity, and the science, I'm looking at the results, and I am a results-driven, data green science person. And so for me, this is and the purity of this lady. She truly loves love and light, and she is looking to help humanity. And that is anyone like that, anyone like you, I can partner with that. And so I would definitely encourage you guys to connect. She has a class tomorrow night at 5. Is that Central?
5 p.m. Eastern.
I will put all the information in the comments for that as well. Definitely snag her book through her website, please. And maybe we'll do a part 2 here in the future. But thank you for your time. I know you got stuff and I got stuff, and you're just amazing. For those of you who are not already following me on YouTube, please do subscribe on YouTube. I'm also on Telegram now, and that is a much more honest communication, which I absolutely love. I'm having fun just being able to say whatever. And we have a group there where people are talking and commenting, but also go to swiftfire.org to get the free newsletter, because whatever is going on with the situation, I've had friends that are taken off and put back on, taken off. I just came out of Facebook jail, as you know, so I wasn't able to tell you whatever I was trying to say without my website and my newsletter. So go to swiftfire.org, I have a free newsletter, and check out our shows on YouTube. So, but thank you so much, and I will be in touch, and I will continue to tell you all of my great things, and hopefully we'll have you back and do a part 2 in the future. But all right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm one of those people, I can talk forever and a day. You just get me started and I'm there. I can talk as long as I need to talk, and I would love to be back again.
Awesome. I'll definitely do. I'm going to connect you with a couple other people to have you too. I think what you have to say about right now is so critical that lots of people need to know this. So please do share this with your pages, guys. Reshare, tag, do whatever to get this out. And we'll be seeing you guys later on. Have a great week. Talk soon.